Welcome back. In this third Reflect Academy video, we are going to be talking all about frictionless note-taking and how to remove friction from your notes. I'm going to start by going through some context in terms of what we mean by frictionless, some real-world examples of friction in our notes, and also the negative impact of friction on the thinking process. And then we're going to move into how to actually remove the friction from your notes. So we'll talk about some ways to go about tool selection, how to develop some systems to save things, writing our notes as easily as possible, and even diving into frictionless recall so that we can easily find the thoughts, ideas, and pieces of information that we say. So let's get going with some context here. What exactly do we mean by frictionless in regard to our notes? Well, in short, that means that our notes are fast and they don't ask us to make any decisions. That's a little ambiguous. So let's kind of go through some examples of what friction in our notes actually look like. One example is when you open your note-taking app and it takes forever to load. I think a good way to think about this is you have some brilliant idea. Maybe they're the problem you've been thinking about and the solution finally hits you, but you just kind of got those wisps of the solution there. It's nothing concrete. It's no smack in your face aha moment. It just, you can tell you're onto something and you need to develop it further. Well, if your note-taking app takes forever to load, that might be enough time for you to completely forget about those wisps of wisdom that you need to capture. Another one is having to think about what folder a new thought or idea should go into. So this is why we're big proponents of abandoning the folder system with regard to note-taking. It really introduces friction in two places. One, when you have an idea or a meeting or you meet a person or whatever it is, you have to think about where to categorize that. You have to think about where in your folder system it goes. And potentially you're even going to have to think about where to retrieve that, what folder past information lives in, which is even harder to remember. Another example might just be having a complex path to save something. So for example, if you are reading something on your phone and you are only able to save articles on your desktop, then you're going to either have to text yourself a link of it, maybe airdrop the link, maybe try and remember to pull it up later, none of which are great options. You want to be able to just kind of tap and save that article or piece of information really quickly. So what's the negative impact of all this? Probably pretty obvious, but you need to think about your thoughts and ideas being in their most pure state right when they're in your brain. And so you want to translate that as easily as possible. Every amount of friction adds some level of separation to this. And so if you think about the game telephone we would play when we were a kid, where you all line up and one person gets whispered a piece of information in their ear and they have to translate it down. And somehow, even though it seems like it should be able to be easy to transfer the information, by the time the last person is communicating it, they no longer resemble the original piece of information that was given. The exact same thing happens within our brains, but it's hard to remember this because it feels like we'll be able to remember things, especially when it's like such a brilliant idea or thought or something like that. And so we lose out both on the quantity and the quality of the information we collect. We lose out on thoughts and ideas that we want to collect, and also the ones that we do aren't in their pure state that they were when we had the thought or idea. Okay, so that's kind of the context on friction and why it's bad. So let's now go to the fun part and talk about how to remove friction from our notes. Well, a lot of this comes down to the tool. So you want to choose a tool, like we said, that is fast. So one, it needs to be a high performance tool. That means that it loads very quickly. It can save all of your information and sync quickly between your devices. You're not going to be at risk of losing information because of a crash or something like that. All of these come into account with regard to friction and note-taking. And you'll notice that some tools do certain things better than others. Notion, for example, has a ton of functionality, but it's very, very slow. So there's actually quite a lot of friction in it, which means it's great for collaboration, but quite bad for personal note-taking. And you want to stick with a small number of tools for a long period of time. So definitely play the field a little bit and test tool that feels the most right for you, because a tool that feels frictionless for one person might feel full of friction for another person. And a lot of it's up to preference, but you do want to kind of try them and then stick with the one that you really like, because there's a whole bunch of downsides that go into switching back and forth between note-taking apps. tire kicking, as I kind of like to refer to it. For one, you're spending most of your time just learning how to use a new tool, which is not good. You want to spend most of your time actually thinking and recording your thoughts. Um, but you also then just kind of become obsessed with different workflows, and workflows are helpful, but they're not the end outcome. And so you get kind of stuck in this productivity loop, almost similar to someone who gets caught in the loop of reading self-help books, but never actually works to implement any of it in their life. So don't get caught in the tire kicking hole of just constantly switching tools. Find the one that works best for you, really trial, really give it your all and a good shot, and then choose one and fully commit to it. And you also want to make sure that you can capture thoughts and information anywhere and anytime. So as I mentioned, that means that it's always working and syncs across your devices. But you always want to make sure that you have something on you that allows you to record quickly. So in its simplest form, honestly, this might just be being portable. I used to take notes in a physical notebook, and I had a separate small notebook that I could write quick ideas in. There was a whole bunch of downsides to that system, but at least it allowed me to record a thought or idea pretty much any time. Now, this is, of course, been made very, very easy by the internet and modern technology, because we can just carry our phones around with us anyway and take notes on your phone. So highly probable that the best way to take notes on the go is going to be from your phone, but make sure that it works well across all of your devices. Okay, so let's kind of talk about some systems to easily save information. So what kind of information do we want to be saving? That's something that you're going to have to decide, but in the basic form, there are some categories that we're probably all going to want to save. So book notes, for example, we read books and we may or may not take notes on them, but we probably want to save the books that we read. Articles, that's a really big one. Could be something we find on Hacker News. It could be an academic article or a research paper. Video notes. So I watch a ton of YouTube videos for information, and I take notes off of those. Meeting notes. I do have a decent amount of meetings in between client meetings and reflect customer calls and whatnot. So it's good to record those. And then, just random new ideas, whether that's like a side project idea, a writing idea. I could also probably just put any thought in here. So in short, you want to be able to capture basically any piece of information. But these, I think, are kind of the main ones. And so what I recommend doing is list out all of these sources that you want to save information from. And then you can find the easiest workflow possible for each one of those to save that piece of information. So let me take you through a couple of examples using our Chrome extension. So I'm in Chrome now, and I'm going to save just a few of my most common categories using our Chrome extension to give you an idea of how a simple workflow feature can save you quite a lot of friction. So here I am on an article that I found on Hacker News, the economics of all-you-can-eat buffets. So let's say that I want to save this to my notes because I found it interesting. I'm going to click on the Reflect extension, and this little tab pops up. So if I want to, I can open this note directly in Reflect. But what I'm going to do right now is I have this auto highlight feature turned on. So that means that I can go through here and highlight the information here. So maybe I want this section on how the $20 buffet breaks down, and I'm going to highlight that. And you can now see that it has a yellow highlight on the page. And I can basically go down and take any notes that I want, just like I'm highlighting a textbook in university or something like that. So I'll just do a couple of these as an example, and I'll kind of stop there. And then I'll also show you that you can customize your description here. So here, this pulls in the description of the article automatically. And, I could change it if I want. I could take additional notes here, but I don't really need to. I'm just going to be happy with their description. And so I'm just going to save it like that. Okay, so that's an article example, but you can use the Chrome extension for other things as well. For example, I have it set up. If I go to the options page here for the Reflect Chrome extension, I have it set up to save my bookmarked tweets. I can also have it save my favorited tweets, but I like quite a few of them. So I only have mine set up to save bookmarked tweets. But that means that I can just go through Twitter, and if I find this tweet interesting, I can bookmark it, and it will save it in my Reflect note with one single click. And this is great because I used to have a ton of friction around tweets that I would save. for the simple reason that I would never remember to go back into my saved tweets and look at them. So this solves that problem for me. And a final example here. I'm going to, this is our previous Reflect Academy video, number 2. And I actually think the Chrome extension works really great for saving YouTube videos. So again, I can just click this and it will automatically save the link with one click. And if I wanted to, like, let's say I want to just highlight the 5 principles, I could go through and highlight them there and it will save it. So again, on the options page, just, if you do want to try this tool, I do want to mention that it also will sync your Kindle books, the Amazon store, and it will also save your reading highlights. I currently don't have mine enabled because I'm using Readwise currently to save my Kindle highlights, but I'll show you what that looks like in Reflect. So let's go look at what all these saved things look like in my actual Reflect account. Back here in my Reflect notes, and here I am on my daily note page. I'll go over this a bit later in the course, but Reflect operates under a daily note structure, which means that there's a dedicated note for each day and it just goes on to infinity. And this is my actual daily notes from today, by the way. All of these things under here are just my, to-do list items for each project, my daily reflection that I do each day, all that good stuff. So we'll cover that later in the course, but up top here, you can see the things that I just saved. So for one, this tweet that I bookmarked now appears under tweets, and I've got this nice embed so I can kind of see if I want to, copy a link to it or even just transform it to a plain link, I can do that. And so this also note here will kind of give me all of the tweets that I have saved. So I can see them all in one list in the incoming backlink section here. So again, this, in my opinion, completely solves the issue of saving tweets and never looking at them, because it appears in your daily notes. So you know what day you saved it, you know what day the actual tweet came from, and you can review them all easily at once. And then down in my link section here, I have the article links that I saved. So if I open this one, you can see that the highlights that I made here are down in the highlight section. So I've not only got the link saved in my notes, I've got, the description saved, which again, I could have edited it. And, maybe, I don't know, this one's marked link, but I could, change the tag, the article if I wanted to, if that fit in my workflow. And it's also nice because down here below, I can see the day that I saved it on in the incoming backlink section. And finally, if we look at the YouTube video, this is also saved as a link because we saved it in the Academy video, the Chrome extension. So for maybe this one, I would want to go and, I could give it a YouTube video tag or something, or maybe just a video tag, and then I'd be able to pull up all of those. And one thing I should note, the YouTube video just pulls in kind of a generic one on YouTube. So maybe for this one, I would want to say that it's an excellent educational video on the principles of note taking. I think that's kind of a lame description, but and then you see I've got the saved highlights down here. So again, that is a great way to easily save things within your notes. And you can come up with workflows like this for any source. I guess I could also show you the Kindle sync with books. So if I go to my books tab here, I can see all the books that I've saved. And again, I can click into it and it saves the highlights that I have saved from the book. So here I listed some of the key takeaways from it. I think I used AI to do that in the last video, but very, very convenient. Okay. Oops, that's the wrong Academy video. Perfect. So let's now go on to the next section, making writing our notes as easily as possible. So you just saw how to save things easily, but a lot of the times in your notes, you actually need to record information, not just save it. My favorite way to do this is with audio notes. We are completely obsessed with this. I actually now take the vast majority of my notes and writing using audio notes. OpenAI has this technology called Whisper that Reflect uses. There's a tool called Super Whisper that lets you use it anywhere and just copy text to your keyboard or clipboard. But it's really excellent. So in Reflect, if I want to record an audio note, I can just click on this button and start talking, and it will record everything that I say and transcribe it with near human level accuracy. And I don't need to change the way that I talk at all. It will do all the punctuation, all the grammar, and all of that good stuff for me. So for the brief example, by the way, you can also do this on your mobile phone. So I think taking voice notes is probably the easiest way to record information now. Kind of thinking of the human evolution, it's like we could originally carve things or draw them, then we could write, then we could type. Now we can just transcribe, and it's amazing. And if I go back into my daily note here, you see that I have that transcription of what I've recorded as an audio memo here. And then I can do whatever I want with it. So very, very convenient. Highly recommend start getting in the habit of taking voice notes because that's definitely the future of frictionless note taking. Okay, then some smaller things. You can pin notes to the sidebar. So here I have the notes that I use pretty frequently. I've got a note on my life principles, which just help me keep an idea of what's important. I've got my ideas note so that if I ever have an idea related to anything, I just know to put it in here quickly. I've got some client notes for the agency that I help run and my shopping list. That's an important one. And then this is a random one, but I access my personal FAQ for Reflect multiple times every day because I help out with customer service and that's where I collect my information. So pin the notes that you use often and record information to right here. And that also helps in the recall section I'll go into in a second. Get familiar with keyboard shortcuts. So Reflect has many of them and it makes note taking really, really easy. So if you ever want to check them out, you can click on the question mark and you can also use the keyboard shortcut of Command / and it pulled up this page, but it just makes writing really easy. You can instantly create a new note, format, do all of that good stuff. So a little bit of a learning curve there, but that's one of those things. If you do get used to using keyboard shortcuts, it makes note taking much more frictionless later on. In the last part in this section, work out of a daily note so that you don't wonder where to put things. So I talked about this earlier, how Reflect has this system of an ongoing daily note. That means that you never have to worry about where things go because everything just goes in your daily note. So you can see here, the things that I've saved go in it. My to-do list for each project go in it. My daily reflection goes in it. Any audio notes that I take go in here automatically. It's such an easy way to make your notes easy and frictionless to take because you never have to think. You just put everything in your daily note. And if you need to organize it from there, you can. Okay, last section, frictionless recall. This is a little shorter, but it's definitely worth noting because there's no point in collecting information if it's challenging or even impossible to recall. So thankfully, this has become much easier with network note-taking tools. And by network note-taking tools, I just mean things that can backlink notes together. So if I go into my daily note, this is a backlink to this note on the video that I showed you. And if I look at my map here, this isn't my demo brain, this is my real notes brain. You can see all of my notes that are connected together by all these little nodes. These are backlinks between new notes and network note taking. That doesn't really have anything to do with recall, but I do think it's a good visualization of what a backlink actually is. And so when you backlink them, it makes it much, much easier to search through and to find things that are connected to each other. Another reason for that, I kind of go back here, is this incoming backlink section. I can see what other notes that this note is connected to. An association, as we call it, which works very, very similar to your brain and your memory. Your memory is just an association between two different thoughts. And that's exactly what a backlink is. Okay, so then adding tags to your notes. So here I have a Reflect Academy tag. If I click on this tag, I can pull up a list of all of my Academy notes. Similarly, I've got lots of different fun tags. I've got tags for articles that I've written, drafts that I'm currently working on, ideas that I haven't started. I've got tags for authors, so I can pull up a list of them, companies, so that I act as like a CRM for companies. I can look up all my meetings, all of my recipes, a bunch of different stuff. So anytime that you want to pull up a list of all your notes, you can just use a tag, and it works very nicely for organizing them. And finally, advanced search. And this is one of my favorite ones to talk about right now because Reflect just released and improved this feature. So if I go into my advanced search, I can look through all kinds of different filters here. So I can filter just my daily notes through certain time periods. I can filter when a note was created or updated by. I can search when a note is linked to or notes that are linked to or by something. certain tags, notes that are pinned on my sidebar right there. And then I can also change the search type. So I can do, an exact search where it uses only the terms. I can do a semantic search, which will just kind of search conceptually, or fuzzy. That's not strict exact, but, will allow kind of some minor errors in there so that you can find things easily. So all of these things are excellent. And if let me clear out of these tools. So let me give you an example. If I did do my Reflect Academy tag, that's only then going to search the Reflect Academy notes. I can then use AI to chat with those notes. If I wanted to, I could summarize the Academy information, or I could ask it a specific question, like, how do I make actually, that's a terrible way to phrase that. How do I remove friction from my notes? And I can ask it that. It usually takes just a few seconds to kind of get the information. And here it's pulling up exactly what I'm talking about right now, because it pulled on it from that specific note. So this makes recalling information insanely easy. Whether you're just searching for like a general term, another thing that I used it for the other day, I was searching for a book, but I couldn't remember what the book title was or the author. And so I just asked it for what book I had read about product validation, and I found the mom test. Wonderful. So highly recommend playing around with the search here if you are a Reflect user. But whatever tool you're looking for, make sure that the search is excellent. Because if you can only find things by searching the exact term, well, that's not really all that helpful. And you're going to find that there's just a ton of friction in recalling notes. And that just exponentially removes some of the value that you get out of note taking. So that kind of concludes it for this lesson. I know this one was a little bit longer, but frictionless is honestly one of the most important things with note taking. So search for your most frictionless tool, get those frictionless workflows outlined and built, and you'll just find that your note taking not only becomes more efficient and more valuable, but more pleasant.